Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we are lucky to have a Hampton resident who travels all over as a storyteller. And you will get to meet her. Sheila Arnold, welcome.
I'm glad to be here. It's so good to finally meet you, Robin, after seeing you on television.
Storytelling as a profession is something that most of us don't think about a lot. What drew you to that and what does it involve?
Storytelling as a profession, that's a good way to ask that kind of question. Some people don't say profession with it, so that's nice. I think the biggest thing is that I've always been a storyteller, not a liar, okay, just a storyteller. Right. And my family are big storytellers, so that has been always important in my life. And when I started to work at Colonial Williamsburg, which was in 1996, I was paid to do storytelling, which was kind of cool. Right. I'd already been doing some for my son's schools, wherever he was at. And then eventually the door opened and said, you can walk through. I believe God opened the door for me to walk through and say, hey, I have something else for you to do, and that's the storytelling. And it interests me so much because there's so much you can do with storytelling. And so I focus a lot on social justice, and I focus a lot on history and using history to connect communities together and such. But I tell a lot of other stories. I tell to kids and students and all kinds of things.
Well, storytelling must involve writing the stories as well. I mean, you could get stories, but you have to distill them and move them into your own words, I would think.
It does and it doesn't. It depends on the storyteller. Every storyteller is very different in how they process stories. So yes, I have folk tales and fairy tales. They use books, or not read books, but I glean stories from books and such like that. And I love that part. I do have a lot of imaginative stories that come up. Very rarely for me are they written down. I don't usually write a story down until I've told it probably about 75 times.
You're working it. You're working it as you go.
I just continue to tell it. But tons of times am I telling a story that like, boop, pops in the head. And that's the story that needs to be told. And I'm so familiar with story structure that I can usually do a pretty good job of crafting a well-heard story. So
there's a rhythm to it, but it is more than writing because you have to hear what it sounds like.
Yes, and that is the truth. You have to hear it. So writing says one thing, and so when I see what people are writing, I'm like, oh, well, that would be not quite what we would say. We would not say, and the girl opened the door. We would say, we might just do that. We might just open the door for the girl and not actually say the girl did that.
Because it's also acting, really.
Absolutely. Well, yes and no. Now, acting, you got a script in front of you.
Well, that's true.
And you usually have a wall between you and the audience. So the audience is not there. We are expecting that the audience is going to respond. Or at least we're responding to what the audience is looking at us with their faces or saying to us and things. So it's a two-way street.
And also, I think sometimes people think of telling stories for children. You tell stories for all ages, right?
I do, from little guys up to senior citizens as old as 100. And I've actually told to someone now 100, so I'm pretty happy about that.
You can say that officially
I can say that officially. So, and I love telling stories to all ages, but I will tell you, my favorites, and I'm certain there are some middle schoolers that will be like, Miss Sheila called us her favorites. But yes, middle schoolers are just, because if you
Nobody likes middle schoolers.
I'm here to tell you.
They're so awkward and so angry and so hormonal.
They are just wonderful, but they're so passionate. I mean, they really believe in something, and they're thinking about that something, and all those stuff that they have that makes them sometimes negative also makes them extraordinarily positive. And if you can get them in the first 30 seconds.
Right, you don't get much time anymore.
If you can get them in the first 30 seconds, boy, you can hold on to them, and they just love it. And I love telling stories to adults because I just think adults, of course, have a different perspective. And what's amazing is that adults don't realize that they really want stories. And they don't realize how much they really want stories, because they say, oh, those stories are for children, or like, no, those stories are for us. And it's really wonderful when adults get it. They're like, oh, oh my gosh, they were talking about my life, or oh, I hadn't heard that forever. That relates to my life, even though that's a fairy tale. That still tells me something about my own life.
That's how fairy tales started.
That's right.
They were morals. They were lessons.
That's
they
right.
were explaining strange things in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's like 160 something versions of Cinderella. So how many times and how many cultures was something like Cinderella happening? But we know of young people who are put into a blended family where one of the young people, we may not know it, but we've heard of it. One of the young people in that blended family isn't like the others and struggles to find their own place and such like that. And only with the help of other people do they find that place. That's just Cinderella all over the place. So yes, it's in every culture.
That's wonderful. Well, now, you travel a lot.
I do.
But there is an event coming up at which people can hear storytellers, including you, or are you just on the arranging side this year?
This year I'm on the arranging side. It's the Hampton Storytelling Festival, and we have a website, www.hamptonstorytelling.org. A-R-T. Yes.
Oh, that's fancy.
We love that. We are fancy. We're excited. But it's July 18th through the 21st, 2024. And it will be in a variety of venues. Not as many venues as we had last year. So let me tell people to make sure they know. Not as many venues as last year, so you don't have to drive all over town. We are going to be having our storytellers come in, and they're coming in from all over. We have 6 of them. We have Dylan Pritchett, who is from right here, Newport News.
Yes,
You've had him on your show here.
I've interviewed him before.
We have Sarah Brady, who was from here, but she has moved up to New Jersey, where her husband is stationed, so she's coming down here. Via Good, who is from the Chesapeake area. Valerie Davis, who is from the Newport News area. And we have Ray Christian. Oh, so excited to have him. He's a national storyteller from Asheville area. And there's one more person, I'm assuming that is Andy Offit Irwin. Thank you very much, Sheila, from Georgia, and just a wonderful teller. So, and such a variety of stories that will be told. And so on Friday, I think that's the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21. So the 19th, on that Friday, we will have all the storytellers go to one of the community centers and actually tell to the young people in the community centers.
Oh, isn't that great?
And then we have an afternoon show for seniors. It's actually for anybody, but for seniors, that's going to be at Immaculate Conception Church. And then in that evening, we'll have a program. I'm not exactly certain, so I don't want to tell a lie about where that's going to be.
But we can go to the website and
that's
find
right.
out.
You can. And then on Saturday, we're hoping to have a military program, or a program focused on military person. Ray Christian will be doing that. And then we'll do an late afternoon program for regional and local news storytellers, because we're providing a storyteller academy the week before to help people with telling their stories. And then an evening program at Hampton Baptist Church downtown. And then Saturday, we finish our program, hopefully at the Big Pink again, if not at the Big Pink, someplace else. And we're doing that on Sunday. We'll do a sacred storytelling, which is just certainly the highlight. So it's a lot of fun.
It sounds great.
It is great.
And it's multifaceted.
Yes.
So you've got all kinds of different audiences and different types and participation, and that sounds great.
It is really good. So we're super excited, and even on Saturday night, we're hoping to bring in some food trailers and food trucks, so that people don't have to go far. They can come hear the newer storytellers and the local ones, and then eat something, and then come right on back.
That sounds fabulous.
It's good.
Well, now, storytelling is important in, well, I'm going to say almost every culture.
Yes.
And it is the way that ancient stories are passed down.
Very true. And it's interesting. I was having this conversation asking people when, had they heard Brer Rabbit stories, and where had they heard Brer Rabbit stories? And people kept saying, well, with my teacher. And even when I asked my father, who still lives here and still, he's in his 80s, and he said, well, probably my teacher. And so we started thinking about, when were we passing things down just verbally? And that's pre-literacy. So
Yeah.
before books became in everybody's, room and everybody's ability, that's when that was being passed down from culture to culture.
Well, and family stories got passed down sometimes because people weren't allowed to read or write.
Absolutely,
Or their
absolutely.
history wasn't recorded. And so
Absolutely.
it had to come through that verbal.
And that's what people mostly remember is that family stories
Yeah.
at the family reunion, at the meal, at the dinner table, or things like that. That's what people actually remember. But then they heard other stories when they were in school. Thank God for teachers and librarians
Absolutely.
who for us literate people are the ones that have kept the old stories alive. And we're so grateful for that. And so this storytelling festival gives a wide variety of stories. And it wants people to say, what we say is everybody's got a story. And so every month, except for June, July, and August, we are giving a storytelling program and series. And we have storytellers come in and they share with us. And we started with the Hampton History Museum in January. It's been wonderful. And then we also have a story swap where people can come and share a story. And that is usually...
It's like an open mic night.
It's on the third Saturday of the month, and from 1 to 3 at the library, or just check our website if there's a different location. So yeah, stories are important.
That sounds great.
They feed us.
All right, so we're going to go to your website.
Got you.
Tell me again.
So the Hampton Storytelling website is www.hamptonstorytelling.art. A-R-T.
Art. Okay, and we'll put that up on the screen so people have time to write it down. That'd be
Wonderful. And thank you for the opportunity to be here and share about this.
Thank you.
Because you are always telling stories or getting other people
I
to
get
tell
other
their
people
stories.
to tell stories. I don't have to. That's what I like, is learning so much about other people. Well, thank you, Sheila, for coming.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
And I hope you will make a point to hit one of the many events for the Hampton Storytelling Conference. It should be a wonderful time where you can kind of leave yourself behind and be absorbed by a story from someone else. Thanks for watching.